Hi, I'm Shivam,
Hi, I'm Izzy.
and this is PhoenixChat.
Where one of us can read.
Which one?
You find out.
Hey, and welcome back to PhoenixChat. This is part 2 of the episode that we put out a little bit earlier this week. So I'd highly recommend checking out part 1 so you get the context of everything we're going to be talking about in this episode. So first thing I definitely want to talk about, though, is the idea I basically kind of had for this quest. It was very reminiscent of, like, an RPG sort of, like, fetch quest where, like, it was quote-unquote sort of, like, filler content, where just, like, these simple tasks that you guys need to do, but all just kind of end up being, like, sort of unique ways. And I think it ended up being, like, because I definitely think, like, fetch quests are definitely looked down upon for sure, because, like, if it's just filler, but I think this one ended up being more interesting than that, because, like, you guys effectively needed to do these new role-playing things where, like, now that all of you guys were diseased, like, you now have, like, a character flaw or something like that you need to role-play. So I guess just first of all, like, from the top there, designing the diseases. So, I think what I really liked about this arc was that, like, you guys really got to show off your role-playing chops by, like, just having these tiny changes and flaws to your characters that would really, like, end up kind of changing them. And I will also admit, too, like, the three things, they were all just kind of, like, randomly assigned, and, like, I basically just had, like, a list of, like, 3, like, or I think it was 4 possible diseases that you guys could get, and I was just assigning them, like, top to bottom. I think with Juliet specifically, it was only her that could actually get, like, the damsel thing, because, like, we were actually kind of planning to run the disease idea, because you couldn't actually make it here for, like, a week, but then, like, you end up actually being able to make it, so I just kind of said, like, oh, what if we just create, like, what if the disease made her more damsel-like?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we planned, like, different things, like, oh, her accent would change into, like, her actual accent that she uses, like, for the Kitsune realm. She becomes more, like, quiet and reserved, and then she would become more, like, dainty and more damsel-like as we kept going on until somebody figured it out.
Yeah. I think my original idea for that straight up was, like, literally just, like, Julia is now mind-controlled by the enemy.
Shit!
Yeah, no, and, like, she's spying on them and needs some kind of information or needs to do something for the enemy in order to kind of screw over the party if the party doesn't figure it out fast enough. It's one of those things, it's interesting, but it's one of those things where it's, like, it's hard to pull off in a meaningful sort of way that, like, you know, what can the enemy take from you that, like, it feels like a disadvantage, but it doesn't feel like we're totally fucking screwed now without Juliet and without, like, this thing that we didn't see coming.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to balance that line between a good trick and, like, being bullshit to your players. I think, like, how I try to manage it and how I try to make sure that, like, you guys as players feel like you're not being, like, cheated out of things is, like, I try to telegraph more, like, if I'm leaning towards, like, being sneaky or, like, accidentally giving something up, I think I end up leaning towards, like, accidentally giving it up and, like, trying to telegraph it hard, so, like, the twist ends up being, like, you guys kind of saying, like, oh, we could have done things to prevent this, and we just kind of didn't see it coming. I think someone else said it best, where, like, the best kind of twist isn't, like, how could I have possibly seen this coming? The best kind of twist is, how could I have possibly missed this?
Right.
Yeah, no, I guess, like, as a player, like, how do you kind of deal with, like, the leading into those sorts of twists, and especially, like, trying to figure out the line between like the DM trying to give you like a good challenge and like just creating like these insanely difficult scenarios where you can't really win.
I mean, that's just life in general. Like, there's gonna be things that you can't control, and like, obviously, like, it's D&D, so I mean, it's fantasy, and like, not everything's gonna turn out how we want to. Like, dude, did I think that Juliet was gonna die this many times? No, but here we are. It's just, you just gotta kind of roll with the punches, and like, it's just problem solving. Like, yeah, it's bad now, and yeah, we can't really do much now, but like, there are ways that we can like prevent this from happening again, or like, we can better ourselves from this. Like, the way that you DM, we fail forward, so we know, like, we can learn from this, and we can like be better from this.
Yeah, I think that's probably also a good bit of it too, is that like, if I had probably set up this whole thing where like you'd fully betrayed it, I needed like a good way for you guys to fail forward into this, and I couldn't think of any sort of good outs there in order to get you guys to like say like, okay, here's what we do now, now that we're in this disadvantaged position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to the diseases though, yeah, so creating like Damsel Juliet, so I think what we had planned was like several stages and stuff like that. I don't know, like, do you do anything to just like to change your character in that way to like make this whole like this damsel persona and stuff like that? Like,
okay, this sounds really bad, but
oh boy.
I used to be a Disney princess, like, for parties and stuff, so I know how to act, like, prim and proper and dainty and stuff like that, and I literally just summoned my, inner Disney princess and, like, put that forth to Juliet. So, like,
oh my God.
Boondock offering a flask, like, would you offer a fucking flask to Belle? No!
That's you planted a visceral image in my head of like
Boondock offering fucking Beauty and the Beast princess a fucking flask.
Oh Christ.
But that's literally how I thought I would act. I'm like, okay, how would I act in a situation that way where I had to absolutely stay in character? Because when you are in front of like a bunch of kids who really believe you are that Disney princess, you cannot break character whatsoever. So that's exactly what I did. I'm like, oh, no thank you. I appreciate the alpha, but no thank you. Then Boondock did that. I'm like, what's the matter? I didn't do anything wrong. Just fucking went from there.
Oh man. Yeah. That's absolutely wild. Yeah, you're drawing your Disney princess chain to make Disney Princess Juliet.
Disney.
I'm so sad you didn't like. I'm so sad you didn't like. You didn't say specifically this, because I totally would have had a scene of like the party turns around and like Juliet's like singing with like a bird on her finger.
No. No. Oh, what sucks is Juliet does sing. No.
Yeah, no.
I don't like that.
Oh Christ. Yeah, just surrounded by like just petting a deer.
Fucking Bambi comes from the bushes and she's like, yeah, hi guys. What the fuck?
And Juliet turns back, kills Bambi's mom.
God.
Couldn't be seen with you. Fucking makes eye contact with Bambi. Oh Christ. Oh man. Yeah, and then moving on to the other diseases, Morgan's was a fun one because, like, yeah, so Morgan's a fucking beast in combat, so, like, yeah, how do I, like, make it this, like, a handicap that he needs to, like, rely on others and stuff like that? Oh, his vision's completely gone. The sharpshooter now can't see shit. And like, it was actually really cool, too, because, like, because of the last arc, he still had 10 feet of blind sense, so, like, as long as he could get within, like, a certain sweet spot of the enemy, he totally could, like, still fight normally. but he needs the party's help in order to, like, point him in the right direction and tell him, like, where to kind of stop exactly in order to, like, properly shoot at the bad guys. You know, that one was just pretty, like, plain and simple. And then probably the wildest one was the paranoia one. Yeah, and so, like, with the paranoia one, that was just easy, because, like, I just kept telling Boondock's player just to, like, just keep making me perception checks and stuff like that, and anytime they, like, they failed a perception check, I just say, like, out of the corner of your eye, you see something, you have no idea what it is, or every so often, I would just plant an idea in their head, like, you think you look in the distance, and you could swear it's Legion, and stuff like that, and from there, as soon as Boondock's player finally realized, like, oh, it's paranoia, they just became, like, immediately just, like, questioning everything, and just, like, yeah, no. And as soon as, like, someone else, like, said, like, Legion's out there in, like, the bushes and shit, like, we don't know, like, she's a changeling, she could be anyone, and in essence started mentioning, like, well, changelings can't transform into, like, everyone there, so, like, you know, we should be fine as long as we just see, like, you know, you or Juliet. And like, fucking Boondock just immediately, like, pulls the gun tower and asks him, like, that's a lot of changeling knowledge for one person. You sure you're not involved with Legion? Yeah, I think the scariest part, though, is just making sure Boondock didn't actually, like, get to a point where, like, he does start firing at people and Bostock becomes real again.
Rise.
So I had a system, basically, where, like, anyone could make a persuasion check, and as long as they had a decent sort of reason, I might let them do it with advantage, and, like, as long as they succeeded on the persuasion check, Boondock could at least be, like, talked down.
Yeah.
So it was still, like, a fun way to play in that space of, like, being paranoid of everyone, including the party, without having him actually, like, fucking, you know, start bashing people over the head or running off into the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's ended up being a really good system there. Yeah, no, is there anything, like, you would have thought of, though, like, for any extra diseases or something like that? Because I do like diseases more, like, roleplay focused rather than, like, mechanically focused, so I don't know, like, if you had to run this sort of thing, do you have any sort of ideas for it, or?
Okay, so, I have a couple ideas.
Oh boy.
So, one would be, like, you would think you're a different person. So instead of me knowing that I'm Juliet, I would think I was Faith and have to act like Faith. That would be so fucking wild because she hates Faith, you know, like having to act as like your enemy or whatever.
Oh, we forgot to mention this in the episode, but yeah, I think the last damsel thing that Juliet did when people finally, like, realized it, was Juliet decided to call up Faith and apologize for being mean to her.
Yeah. Didn't I immediately call back as soon as I came back and was like, fuck you, and then hung up?
Yeah, you were, like, in the tree, and you decided, like, as no one was talking to you, you're just gonna call up Faith and apologize. And then, like, Faith's like, oh, fuck, I understand what's happening here. This is a disease, huh?
I don't like this anymore.
Yes. This is weird. Go back to hating me. Yeah, no, it was actually really good. I really liked that moment, honestly. As soon as you got cured, like, you immediately called back up Faith and just, like, by the way, the whole bit I said about, like, saying sorry, I meant none of it!
I meant none of it! Fuck you! I'm done!
Yeah, and then Faith just said, like, welcome back, Juliet.
She flips her off, it's fine.
That was choice.
Let's see. Another thing would be, like, so, since we're in, like, the swamp, it'd be funny if we all thought we were Grung. Like, acting like Hops, or, like, following Hops' lead, or something along those lines. Like, what if we had the mentality of a 2-year-old in our body? Like, I am a Kitsune, 123-year-old woman with a sharp knife, and I act like a 2-year-old. What are you gonna do? I have many ideas. Would
it be 2 in, like, Kitsune years, too? So, like...
Yeah, like
just
a baby.
Yes. Oh, my
God. Or,
like,
a 16-year-old going through, like, the rebellious adolescent phase.
Oh, Christ.
You're not my dad, you can't tell me what to do.
That would have been so good for Boondock, I think. Oh my god. Boondock acting like Baby Doc.
Baby
Sobbing. Julian adopts Boondock too.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. That's fucking cute.
One day we'll get the Baby Muppets episode, damn it!
One day.
One day!
Oh man. Yeah, next thing I want to talk about then is, so yeah, with the fetch quest then, like, why I created, like, these three things for sure, and, like, the diseases is, one, I made a rule that hops could not be diseased, so that, like, yeah, this is how I end up kind of putting hops into the spotlight. So, hops' player, like, they're a little bit quiet, and they're very new to D&D, and they're kind of just, like, you know, picking everything up and learning as they go. And with the Hops arc, like when we originally started this campaign, they straight up, like, they didn't have any sort of backstory, didn't have any sort of anything, and, like, eventually, as they've started to get into it, and they understand, like, how an arc works, and, like, how, like, the player growth works, and that sort of stuff, I kind of, like, finally approached them and said, hey, maybe it doesn't have to be, like, a huge thing in the swamp or something like that, but, like, if you just want to have, like, a brief sort of thing to, like, you know, say goodbye, like, to your parents or something like that, I think that would at least be, like, a good quest. And eventually I got a couple more details from them, and, like, I finally got the full backstory, and, like, finally I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run this into, like, a proper full arc with everything, with the whole bells and whistles and everything. Yeah, and so, I also brought, like, the same idea from the Morgan arc, where basically, like, Morgan is also a very quiet character, because the player is also kind of quiet, too. And I think what we just needed to do was make sure, we need a reason that Morgan needed to step up in the Soliana arc.
Right.
And, yeah, unfortunately in the Soliana arc, Morgan had it rough because, like, the way I thought to do that was murder everyone. Oh, man. But he did get this moment to step up, and, like, now he got to talk to everyone and save the city. It was nice. And then with the Hops arc, it's a very similar sort of concept. If everyone else is diseased, then Hops is the one giving the orders and stuff like that. So, like, I would have given Hops' players some more, like, advice and instructions on what to do, but, like, Hops would have just been fully and completely in control rather than, like, Essen trying to wrangle things, as Hops is doing, like, the challenges. And in the challenges themselves, yeah, that was kind of an interesting one, too, because, like, I want to have cool moments where the players can, like, their characters can really, like, step up and say, here's what my character's good at, and show that to the party in a meaningful way. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying to figure out, like, what is a 2-year-old, like, really good at more than the rest of the party? But then I kind of turned my thinking about there and realized, like, oh, Hops is, like, she's lived up in, like, this small town, like, little swamp. Like, she's basically, like, this rural kid. What she's extremely good at is probably, like, these small, like, farm-style tasks of, like, doing things. Right. Yeah, so, like, getting the dappy weed and stuff like that would have been a really easy task for her. Or like, finding a bunny where she, like, can lead in the way and say, like, oh, here's, like, the way to, like, that I start trapping them. Yeah, and we got a lot more, like, Hops, like, making plans and going forward with them, which was really good because, like, to show, like, the Hops can be, like, a pretty competent person making plans and stuff like that. Yeah, so just creating, like, these nice little, like, on a platter scenarios where, like, Hops could really, really step up, which I really liked. Yeah, next thing I want to talk about was just, oh yeah, so speaking of diseases, so I definitely already said, like, if everyone got diseased, yeah, Hops just would have been, like, in lead and stuff like that. However, if no one gets diseased, well, that wasn't really a possibility. So what I basically kind of decided going into the arc was this. For the arc to work, I needed to have, the disease happen to people. And so here's what I basically decided. The wolves and stuff like that, yeah, those deck saves and stuff like that, and the con saves. And if you guys failed those, then yeah, you'd be diseased. If absolutely no one was diseased, or I think like less than half the party was diseased, I would have said when you stepped into the cabin, then like whoever opens it first, like maybe fucking like mold and fungus just like bursts into their face and like all of them starts coughing, con saves all around. Or if you had spent a while in the cabin, like if you spent more than an hour, like no con save, you're just infected with like a mild form of the disease or something like that. Yeah, something lesser, so that like the consequences of like because like you guys like failing the dex saves now matters. And like failing your con saves matters, but like not enough that you can just completely circumvent the arc. Yeah, and so it's just kind of a concept I like to call quantum ogres, where basically if you want your party to fight an ogre at the west gate as soon as they leave town, you don't try to funnel your players into just going to the west gate by saying all the other gates are closed. Let them go out of whatever gate they so choose, but at the end of every gate, there's always going to be an ogre fight. And as soon as they fight the ogre at any gate they leave out of, all the other ogres that were in the other gates suddenly disappear. Yeah, so the quantum ogres, because they both exist and don't exist until the players run into them.
Yay.
Oh, man. Yeah, and then, yeah, last thing just kind of to wrap this discussion up, yeah, especially a lot of this arc, too, and just, like, in general, like, Julia and Essen have been, like, acting as Hops' parents, of course, and, like, I've really found the dynamic interesting, and especially, like, in this arc, too, where, like, Essen needs to make sure, like, a good father to Hops, but, like, also now needs to take care of 3 diseased, screaming idiots. I don't know, just general state of things, like, how are you feeling at this point about, like, Julia and Essen, like, having to, like, step up as the parents, especially finding out, too, like, Hops' parents are now gone.
So I feel like they've let me get words in my mouth. I feel as if from here on out they step up a lot more into parenting Hops. Like because they both have had shitty parents. So how are they supposed to know like any better? But I feel like once they finally realize, oh my god, we really need to step up and like be there for Hops, like this is our job now, is when we step up more. So right now I feel like it's just kind of a shock factor, like holy shit, this is real, like she's actually hurting, like we had no idea. So it's a learning process, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but really looking forward to explaining the rest of this arc, though, for sure, because it gets wild. It definitely gets real wild in these next, like, couple of episodes. Oh, man. Yeah, so tune in next time where we're gonna explain, the mysterious voice in the party's heads, and start answering some of the questions about, what the fuck is going on. A shout out to our patrons, the Modgot, Spicy Turntable, and Nyquil Dreamer. You guys help us make more and better content, and if any of you guys listening out there want to support us, the best way to do so is the Patreon, link in the description. If you subscribe to our Patreon, you can check out that we have a animatic up on there. We're still kind of drafting it out, getting the full. We have it all sketched out. Now we're just getting the full frames done and lined. Should hopefully have it out soon. Izzy, you want to tell them about our stream coming up soon?
Yeah, so on the 25th of September, hopefully, we are going to stream a one-shot called Campus Valoris. It's set in the next generation of Phoenix Heart, so it's Keeper of Kitsune on Twitch. Check out our Instagram for more updates on that. I'm not sure what time yet, but we're hoping for the 25th of September. It'll be pretty fun, and it's very audience oriented. And then, fun fact, Hops also had a brother named Tad, who was really into fishing but never let Hops touch his things because she was too little. And now that she's back at her home, she can finally steal Tad's pole. PhoenixChat.